All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video giving my thoughts on my top 5 most anticipated series coming up in 2019. So it sounds weird to say, but we're almost at the point of a new year here coming up, getting close to the start for 2019. So I decided I would go ahead and do this video with you guys and give you my top 5 most anticipated series coming up next year that I'm most looking forward to right now. So keep in mind, we haven't seen all the trailers for all these different shows, and certain ones we have no idea what they look like coming up next year. We all have our favorites, so I don't think there's any right or wrong here. It's just whichever series you guys are most anticipating seeing next year. So be sure to write down your comments below on which series you're most looking forward to, whatever they happen to be. They don't have to be the same as mine. They can be whatever, whatever you guys are into. Write down which seasons or which series you're most looking forward to next year, and or really this year coming up pretty much, since we're almost there, and which ones you just can't wait to see the most. So this is a tricky one for me. You guys pretty much know, I think, the series that I follow, that I review with you guys every year. Sure, we always check out new series, but there's only certain ones that I'm really into, that I really enjoy enough to make videos with you guys, to do reviews on, predictions for, all this different kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So the ones that I'm most looking forward to, and then we'll do the order afterwards. I'll give them to you first, and then we'll go through the order of precedence for which one's most anticipated and to least. Or vice versa. So we have a few coming up here that are close to their, or basically in their final season. So 2 series that I've been following for the last not quite a decade, but pretty close to it for for some of them. Of course, we have to mention right away, Game of Thrones obviously is ending, right? So 2019, we're going to get to see the final season for Game of Thrones. If you guys don't know, I started reviewing Game of Thrones in the Season 2 premiere. It was my first review for it and the first episode I watched, and I've been hooked to it ever since. I've covered it every year in the channel. For those of you guys who are new to the channel and don't know that I also cover Game of Thrones, I do. And I love the series. It's one of my absolute favorite series of all time, by far, for sure. And this is going to be the last year for Game of Thrones coming up in 2019 with its 8th and final season. Sure, they may do some spin-off series in the future, but from what it sounds like, it's not going to be anything close or similar to what we saw in Game of Thrones. It'll be either prequels or sequels, or totally different time frame, or who knows what they'll come up with after that. But it's final season for Game of Thrones, so obviously we got to be looking forward to that one. That's a highly anticipated series. We'd also been waiting for over a year. We haven't seen Game of Thrones in 2018. They skipped this year to do an epic final season for us. So right now I'm happy they did that, considering we still have it to look forward to, and we haven't seen it yet, so it just makes it even more anticipated, right? So we got to mention that. Of course, there's Gotham, which is also in its 5th and final season coming up this year in 2019 with a late start. Usually Gotham starts in the fall this year, and they usually do like 22 episodes a season. This year with season 5 of Gotham, it's going to be more limited than that. We're not going to get to see a full 22 episode run, but nevertheless, it sounds like it's going to be a good kind of final hurrah for fans of Gotham. Very sad to hear that the series is ending in its 5th and final season coming up this year, because I thought they could have gotten more run out of it. I mean, it's Gotham, it's Batman universe in Gotham in DC, so I mean, you'd think that thing could go on for about as long as they want to do it for, but unfortunately it's coming to an end. They're wrapping it up. I guess the episodes cost like over $3 million to do per episode for Gotham, and maybe it's not worth it to them. They don't want to keep doing it, so it's wrapping up. It's going to be ending at the end of season 5 here, that we see pretty soon. Actually, I think that release date is closer than some of these others here. So of course Gotham has to be on there somewhere, because I've also reviewed that series since the very first episode, watched it since the very first one, and we'll be excited to review the final episodes, but also sad at the same time that I feel like it's getting kind of a premature death in terms of what the series probably could have gone for and could have ran for. I think they could have gotten some more years out of it. I certainly would have watched, but oh well, what can you do? Then we've got, of course, as you guys know, The Walking Dead. Of course, all you got is look at the backdrop, right? The Walking Dead. Can't wait to see The Walking Dead return with its back half for season 9, of course. Then we'll get to see the first half of season 10. 10 years, man. This is the 10th season going to be coming up next fall, of course, in 2019. 10 years for Walking Dead. That is quite the accomplishment, considering the amount of episodes they do, considering, how hard it is for them to make it with all the zombies and everything that goes into making the show. Not an easy world to create, not an easy series to do, and it's going to be at its decade run, its 10th year. Amazing stuff. If you look at these other series, a lot of them, it's like, how many of them are going to get to 10 years? Some are, those two I mentioned are already ending, and for the others, we'll have to see. Then we have, of course, Fear the Walking Dead, the companion series to The Walking Dead. Also, pretty anticipated for that. I do still love Fear. I do. I know it's had its reinvented itself in season 4. It's changed to, as I call it, the Morgan and Friends series a little bit. But that's not to say that I don't enjoy it, and that's not to say I don't look forward to seeing Morgan and Alicia and some of the other characters that are in that series. I certainly do, and there's certain times where I could even say that there's certain episodes that I like of Fear better than the original Walking Dead series sometimes. Sometimes. Not every episode is like that, but there's a few gems here and there in Fear where they do something really cool that we haven't seen before, or you have like a season 3 where there's just some crazy deaths that you never saw coming, and they totally floored you because you never thought that would happen. And Fear's done that a few times, and I think it's still kind of finding its place. But for me, I am still looking forward to it quite a bit. And then the last one for my list is going to be Stranger Things Season 3. Of course, can't wait to see Stranger Things. You guys know. I mean, it also was, did not have a new season this year in 2018. A lot of us were upset by that, but hey, what can you do? These are difficult series to make, and sometimes they don't always get them done, that very next year. Sometimes to do that, quality and everything they're trying to do with Game of Thrones or Stranger Things, it takes them a little bit longer to get it done, and that's what they had to do. But that said, really looking forward to that one, hoping to see that in summer 2019. But we'll see. That's not confirmed. Not confirmed. So hoping, but we'll see. So those are the ones I'm most anticipated for. There's probably others that that I haven't really thought of top of mind that I'm also looking forward to. You guys can write any suggestions for any others you're looking for in that in the comments below. But those are probably the ones that I follow the most personally, the ones I'm most looking forward to. So the order of precedence. So we'll go ahead and start with number 5 for me. I guess the fifth, the one I'm least anticipating of these from least to most. To start things off, I guess I got to go with Fear the Walking Dead. And that's not a knock against Fear. It's on my top 5 list for most anticipated series, but it's just barely there. It's a number 5 for me. I am looking forward to it. I do enjoy seeing it. I do want to see it. But for me this year coming up, based on where it ended at the end of Season 4 and what we're going to see in Season 5, I'm still optimistic about it, but it's my 5th most anticipated right now. I'm not anticipating it as much as these others. Then I'm going to go with Gotham. Yeah, Gotham. So the final season for Gotham, like I said, it's unfortunate they're ending it already, but I am looking forward to it because, it has been a great show. It's the best TV series version of Batman, I think, unless you count like the 60s Adam West stuff, which you can't even really, by today's, it's like you can't even use that. So it's really cool, man. I think some of the villains in Gotham were really great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing its last season and what they have for us as they wrap it up. Everyone has their fingers crossed, I think, who are fans of Gotham, that we might see some kind of Gotham spinoff or something in the future. But so far, it sounds like they're doing some kind of Alfred Pennyworth thing, and it's not really related. I don't know. We'll see. Some kind of prequel for him. I don't know if anybody really cares. But so that's got to be next for me is Gotham at number 4. Number 3 is going to be Stranger Things season 3. So I can't wait to see season 3 of Stranger Things. I think Stranger Things has the potential to be one of the best series ever for people that grew up in the let's say anytime during the 80s or early 90s and watched a lot of those 80s, because the effects of the 80s were still running through. You still had the arcades, you still had, the movies were, you always, during the early 90s, you're watching all 80s movies, of course, right, and early 90s movies too, because that was just what it was at the time, video games, growing up, doing all that stuff, Ghostbusters, and Stranger Things is amazing for the nostalgia, but it's also damn good. I mean, it is really, really damn good, right? The characters and everything, on point, incredible stuff, right? So that's close to the top for me here. That'll be the third most anticipated. And then the top two. So which one is Trev anticipating most? Is it The Walking Dead as usual, or is it Game of Thrones? So this is the deal. Almost, usually it's always Walking Dead, right? You guys know. But we just saw the first half of The Walking Dead season 9. I was more kind of worried about that first half because of the information with Rick and everything that we saw happen. Really pleased with how it went, really happy. We're going to see the back half now with the Whispers, anticipating that quite a bit, but I can't say that I'm anticipating that as much right now as the last year of Game of Thrones. And that's not to say that, I hate to compare the two because I love them both. They're like two different, it's like parents. You compare your children, you love them both. Which one's your favorite? I always pretty much say Walking Dead is my favorite. But Game of Thrones is the one where, in terms of like quality, and you look at it, it's like, wow, Game of Thrones floors everybody in terms of its quality sometimes. Some of the things they do are just incredible in Game of Thrones, right? So they had to take their time. It's cooked up a lot. It's highly anticipated. It might not be the same if we were comparing Season 9 of The Walking Dead to Season 8 of Game of Thrones before the season started. But now that we've seen the first half of The Walking Dead Season 9, we've seen Rick leave, we've seen all this stuff happen. Still highly anticipated, my second most anticipated for 2019. But number one for me has to be the final season of Game of Thrones. Who's going to survive? Who's going to win the game? Who will sit on the throne at the very end? Man, that's going to be incredible. It also took them longer to make, so this is not a fair competition to the others. They had longer, just like Stranger Things Season 3. They had more time to get it done, and it looks like it's going to be that level, that insane level of quality that took a couple years to do. And we're all, I think we're all anticipating. We're getting close. We don't really have even a full-length trailer yet or anything like that. But for me, 2019 Game of Thrones final hurrah has to be my most anticipated series of the year. And I think that's fair. I think that makes sense, right? It's the last time. If it was the last season of The Walking Dead, for me it'd be Walking Dead. But just based on timing and the way things are going, and the fact we already saw Rick leave, then we'll go with that. Had it be before Season 9 started, knowing Rick was leaving, I would have been anticipating to see what was happening with that more. But because we just got to see that, and we're basically seeing the Whispers, which is awesome, and really looking forward to that too, puts it at number 2 above Stranger Things and the others. But Game of Thrones has to be the most anticipated series because it's the end. You know what I mean? It's the end. We know that they're not going to do any kind of spin-off with these characters afterwards. We know it's over after this, but what we don't know is who's going to survive and who's going to win at the very end. Could Cersei somehow pull it out? Right? It's like, could she be so, cunning and conniving and hiring the gold company and doing all this stuff to where she lets her enemies burn themselves out and then she comes in and wins at the end? You know what I mean? I'd love to say, that's one of my favorite things about series like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and Fear the Walking Dead. You'd like to come in here and say, well, the good guy's going to win, right? He's going to win. It's how it's going to be. But then it's like these series, a lot of times it's like, it's not what you think. If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. And it's the ending. So how could we not anticipate it more than just about anything? So that's it. That's my top 5. Fear the Walking Dead, Gotham, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, and Game of Thrones, my most anticipated series of 2019. Let me know what your guys are, and let's no trolling. Come on, guys. This is all up to us. However your logic goes, whatever you think, which ones you're most excited for, write your comments below. And don't hate me just because it's not Walking Dead at this particular time. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, it makes sense. I think that's fair. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe and see reviews for all these series coming up and lots of videos next year, then you got to be subscribed. You got to be subscribed to the bottom left. And thank you guys all for subscribing. Thank you guys all for all your support in 2018. Pretty close now. Looking forward heavily to 2019. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.